There's some devastating Emmerdale scenes on the way, with one popular family struck with a double blow. It could leave their future on the ITV soap uncertain, especially for one couple. There's a sad health diagnosis at the same time that one character is shockingly charged with a double murder despite being innocent. It's not looking good for them, while the character facing the health battle is also set for troubling scenes. Kane Dingle and Moira Dingle may be more united than ever, but they could be torn apart if Moira is sent down for the murders she did not actually commit. Her arrest comes at the same time that Kane is told he has aggressive yet localized prostate cancer. As he learns more about his prognosis and treatment plan, he's set to face challenging times ahead as he fears he might die. Next week kicks off with both Moira and Kane being arrested in front of their terrified children. While Kane remains quiet, Moira maintains she was set up by villain Celia Daniels, only to be told one of the murder victims was Celia herself. With the evidence stacking up against her and no Celia around, it soon emerges that Anya's body, also found, was wrapped in one of Moira's blankets. Moira is then charged with the murders of both Anya and Celia, leaving her and Kane reeling. As she's carted away by the police, Kane is devastated, while later in the week he's anxious when he visits her in prison and sees she's been attacked. Moira's arrest leaves Kane alone that week as he faces his appointment with the consultant. After a mass was uncovered recently, Kane underwent tests to establish if he had cancer. Next week, spoilers reveal his diagnosis and he's soon spiraling, avoiding opening up to his family. At the hospital, he's nervous while he soon speaks to a patient with prostate cancer. When he's invited into a room to speak with his consultant, he soon uncovers his cancer is aggressive while localized. Kane is overwhelmed as he's told about the potential side effects of the recommended radical prostatectomy. It gets to a point where he's unable to take in any more information and is unable to process his diagnosis, and he walks out of the appointment. Feeling alone and spiraling over his diagnosis, he begins to lash out at those in the village, with Moira not there for him to confide in. Reaching breaking point, he yells at his granddaughter Sarah Sugden and close friend Liam Kavanagh, unable to contain his emotions for a moment longer. Kane ends up sitting alone at his later father Zach Dingle's graveside, fretting about what's ahead and fearing for his future. But will Moira be proven innocent and be allowed home, or will Kane have to face his latest battle on his own? The village of Emmerdale had weathered storms before, fires, floods, feuds and funerals, but nothing could have prepared the Dingle family for the devastating double blow that was about to tear through their lives. What began as an ordinary week quickly descended into a nightmare, leaving one of the soap's strongest couples facing the possibility of permanent separation. Kane and Moira Dingle had always been survivors. Their love had been forged through betrayal, loss and redemption, a bond tempered by years of hardship. If any couple could withstand the worst life had to throw at them, it was them, or so they believed. A morning that changed everything. The day began quietly enough. The sun rose over the rolling Yorkshire hills, casting a soft golden glow across the village. Inside Butler's farm, Moira was already awake, moving through the kitchen on autopilot. Sleep had been elusive lately. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, that a shadow loomed just beyond her sight. Kane watched her from the doorway, his brow furrowed. "You've barely slept again," he said gruffly. "I'm fine," Moira replied, though even she didn't sound convinced. "Just got a lot on my mind." Kane nodded, hiding his own worries. The pain he'd been experiencing for weeks, something he'd stubbornly brushed off, was gnawing at him. He hadn't told Moira everything. Not yet. He didn't want to add to
either of them could say more, the sound of sirens shattered the calm. Arrested in front of their children. Police cars screeched to a halt outside the farm. Officers poured out, faces grim and purposeful. Moira's heart dropped into her stomach as Kane instinctively stepped in front of her. "What's this about?" Kane demanded. The lead officer didn't hesitate. "Kane Dingle and Moira Dingle, you're both under arrest." Their children looked on in horror as their parents were handcuffed, confusion and fear etched across their faces. "For what?" Moira cried. "Suspicion of murder." The word echoed through the farmhouse like a gunshot. Moira's knees almost gave way. "This is a mistake," she insisted. "I've been set up. Celia Daniels, she's behind this." The officer's expression hardened. "Celia Daniels is dead." Moira froze. Kane turned to her, stunned. "What?" "And so is Anya," the officer continued. "Both bodies have been found." A shocking accusation. At the station, Moira tried to make sense of the impossible. Celia, her enemy, her tormentor, was dead, and Anya, whose disappearance had already rocked the village, had been found too. The worst blow came when forensic evidence was presented. "Anya's body was wrapped in one of your blankets, Mrs. Dingle," the detective said flatly. Moira stared at him, disbelief turning to terror. "That's impossible!" But the evidence told a different story. With Celia gone and the circumstantial proof mounting, Moira was charged with the double murder. Kane watched helplessly as his wife was led away, her eyes searching desperately for his. "I didn't do this," she cried. "You have to believe me." Kane nodded, his jaw tight. "I do. I always will." But belief alone wouldn't save her. Alone with a terrifying truth. With Moira remanded in custody, Kane returned home to an empty farmhouse. The silence was unbearable. Every room reminded him of her absence. That same week, Kane had an appointment he'd been dreading. After doctors discovered a mass during routine tests, Kane had undergone further examinations. He'd brushed it off, insisting he was fine, but deep down he knew something was wrong. Sitting in the hospital waiting room, Kane felt smaller than he ever had before. When the consultant finally called him in, Kane's bravado evaporated. "I'm afraid the results confirm that you have prostate cancer. It's aggressive, but it appears to be localized." The words hit Kane like a punch to the chest. "So, am I dying?" he asked quietly. "We have treatment options. The recommended course would be a radical prostatectomy." Kane barely heard the rest. Side effects, risks, recovery. All he could think about was Moira, alone in a cell, while his own body betrayed him. Overwhelmed, Kane stood abruptly and walked out. Spiraling out of control. Back in the village, Kane unraveled. Without Moira to anchor him, his fear turned into anger. He snapped at everyone who tried to help, pushing away the people who cared most. When his granddaughter, Sarah, expressed concern, Kane exploded. "You don't know what you're talking about," he shouted, instantly regretting it as tears filled her eyes. Later, he lashed out at Liam Kavanaugh, the words spilling out before he could stop them. "I'm scared," Kane finally admitted, his voice breaking. "I don't know if I'm strong enough for this." But pride kept him from saying more. Moira's darkest hours. Meanwhile, Moira faced her own hell behind bars. Already struggling with the shock of her arrest, she was attacked by another inmate, leaving her bruised and shaken. When Kane visited her and saw the injuries, his heart shattered. "I'm so sorry I can't be here," he whispered through the glass. "You being strong is enough," Moira replied, though fear flickered in her eyes. "Promise me you won't give up." Kane nodded, his jaw tight. "I do. I always will." But belief alone wouldn't save her. A graveside breakdown. One evening, Kane found himself at Zach Dingle's grave. "I don't know how to do this, Dad," he muttered. "She needs me. My family needs me, and I don't even know if I'll make it through." For the first time, Kane Dingle cried openly, tears of fear, love, and helplessness soaking into the cold earth. Love on the brink. As the days passed, the future grew increasingly uncertain. Would Moira be proven innocent before it was too late? Would the real killer be exposed? And could Kane face a life-threatening illness without the woman who had always stood beside him?